Hello. Welcome back, everybody. This is Two Halves, One Ball. I am your host for today, Mr. LL Cool J, as you can see at the bottom of the screen here. Today we're here to talk about the result yesterday in Belgium, where Club Brugge um, nil, and Arsenal won by 3 goals. The final score, of course, we know 6 wins from 6 in the Champions League. Continue to be sat at the top of the table. Perfect records maintained. Job done. And I should be buzzing. I should be buzzing right now, if I'm being honest. I should be over the moon. You know, 3 goals in a match, clean sheet as well, and automatic qualification past the knockout stages. But I'm not buzzing. I'm relieved, if anything. And there's a difference. Look, don't get me wrong, 3 points is 3 points, and I'll never complain about 3 points away from home in Europe. It was a professional result, but the performance itself, um, we have a way to get. We have a way to get there, if I'm being honest. And the fact that we were held together by hopes, prayers, and a bit of duct tape as well right now, especially with that injury list, speaks volumes. And I've got concerns, real concerns. Listen, smash that like button if you're feeling the same way I'm feeling. It will, of course, help push the channel to new viewers, and of course, subscribe if you haven't done so already. We do have other socials as well. The handles are below and will continue to pop up here on the top left hand corner every so often. So please stay tuned if stay tuned, and let us break down this match. Let's start off with Noni Madueke's brace, of course, and Martinelli's performance as well. But like I mentioned, that injury crisis is worrying, to say the least. So let's get into it. The results, fine, 3 points. Don't get me wrong, positive results. We gotta be positive because it's not all doom and gloom. If I'm being honest, like I mentioned earlier, away win, a 3-0 away win for that matter in the Champions League. Top quality result on paper. Noni Madueke scored twice. One was an absolute screamer from 25 yards, hit under the pole, under the crossbar, and just went in. Nothing the keeper could be able to do about it. Second goal again from Madueke, back post. There was a cross from Zubimendi, great cross. He literally, keeper was nowhere to be seen, and he just headed the ball in, just a simple header. And of course, in between those 2 goals, Martinelli did have a color of a goal. It was almost Thierry Henry-esque. But. And sorry, yes, of course. And we now remain the only team with a perfect record in the Champions League this season. The likes of Liverpool have not been able to achieve this season so far. Nor have Munich, Real Madrid, Barca, Juve, Inter, even City. They've not been able, but we have. And we've won 9 consecutive Champions League games. That's group stages matches, that is, where we scored 27 goals and only conceded 3. Now that is domination. Don't get me wrong, that is domination. And because of yesterday's result, we have secured automatic qualification, so we shall not be going through the playoff stages, which means at least some of our players will be able to get a few days rest, because December has not been a happy month so far. The fixture list has been really cruel to us, if I'm being honest. I think it's been a game every 3 to 4 days, if I'm being honest. Sorry about that. But basically, here's the thing. what I need you guys to understand is Club Rouge had just come off from 48 to about almost 72 hours prior just firing their manager and hiring the assistant manager or their youth team's manager, their youth team's coach. So he only had about 48 hours to prep for this match, right? And they came in when the match started, they were sat 27th in the Champions League table, and they had only taken a 1 point, just 1 point away from the last four Champions League matches, where they have conceded 24 goals in 11 Champions League games so far this season. So it wasn't exactly a top tier team. And again, this is not, no disrespect to Club Brugge. Um, Again, like I always say, for you to be in the Champions League, you have to be the best of the best, of course. So the fact that they're there is already a testament and a credit to them, and just how hard they have worked for them to be in this season's Champions League. So, but nevertheless, this was not a top tier opponent. So, this was a team that should have been comfortably beaten. And yes, 3-0, but for large parts of the match, especially the first half, it was a shaky affair, if I'm being honest. A shaky affair. Club Brugge, I would say after the in fact, I can be able to show you. In the first 45 minutes, they were the better. Well, I would say they were slightly the better team, even though we went into halftime 1-0 up. In for large parts of the game, they were the better team. They actually looked like scoring more than we did, if I'm being honest, at one point. And they really did dominate us, if I'm being honest. And bearing in mind, there's a Arsenal team that had just come from beating Bayern Munich 3-1. Yes, caveats, don't get me wrong. What's it called? Caveat, of course, that is there's been injuries. There's been more injuries since. Sorry, I lost my trail of thought there for a sec. But yeah, there had been a list of there's been the injury list has basically grown longer. So, and this is where it's really concerning. So let's break down what actually happened in the first half. Okay, we started okay. We had a few chances. Odegaard, captain, led from the front, took a couple of shots, went straight at the keeper. They weren't exactly the most convincing shots, but nevertheless, at least we were able to get shots on target. And then Piero Incapié as well. So unfortunate to have hit the post there, because he could have started the scoring, but unfortunately, like I said, he hit the post. And then that's when Braga started to get into the game. They realized that we weren't clinical with our chances, and the fact that we still had not scored a goal, it gave them confidence, and they grew into the game. So they started pressing us more, and they started winning those second balls, and they started creating chances. At one point, David Raya even had a collision with Piero Incapié, because they couldn't decide who should clear the ball, or whether David Raya should come and collect the ball from as it was approaching the penalty box in David Raya. We were flat and we looked tired. Don't get me wrong. The team, we looked like a team of players that had too many games on their legs in too short of a few days. They hadn't had a chance to recover. So spoiler alert, that's where my concerns are. But of course, Madueke opened the scoreline with that run from just about the halfway line, runs straight towards Club Brugge's box, takes phenomenal shots from 25 yards out, absolute banger, and top bins, basically top bins. Nothing keeper could be able to do, and that's when Arsenal now, started to maybe have faith. But then, of course, we went into half time. And don't get me wrong, it could have been a scoreline, could have been different. It could have been a whole different story. But we were fortunate that Madueke showed a moment of brilliance, which is something we normally, especially as Arsenal, I think it's something that we lack. Listen, guys, if you're still here already, hit that like button. Of course, it will help push the video to new viewers as well. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And we have actually switched scenes. So the socials, the ticker will be showing there, but our handle is on the top left hand corner there there's a social stick actually, ticker, and you'll be able to follow us on all those socials. We are on all those social platforms as well. So let's get into the second half. There was an improvement. Don't get me wrong. 2 minutes in, Zubimendi does a deep cross, like I said earlier in the beginning of the video, and Noni Madueke back post, just a simple tapping for him for on the head, and the keeper was just left. Like, it was easy as you like, cool as you like, cannot miss basically. And then of course we had Martinelli again, who is on fire in the Champions League, let's be honest. I believe those are 5 goals in 5 games right now. The man is in the zone right now, if I'm being honest. He is absolutely dominating Champions League. He's getting those results. This is the Martinelli that we like to see. Not the Premier League Martinelli, the Champions League Martinelli. But even at 2-0 and 3-0, we still did not look like a dominating team. That's where the problem is. We didn't look like a team that was going to, or that is going to win the Champions League, rather. We look like a team that is managing a lead against in an inferior opposition. But again, it's not that they are inferior, but given their run of results, as mentioned earlier, manager changes, blah, 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 yada, 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 one would expect Arteta should have won that game by at least a minimum margin of 3-0. And of course, cameo appearance, 60th minute, Gabriel Jesus comes back as well. Been on the sideline for the last, about 322 days to at least 1 year with an injury. He came on, had a little bit, not too much of a great impact, a little bit of an impact. Of course, he struck the crossbar. It would have been very nice for him. The team was clearly looking for him. They were clearly looking to get him to at least get that score and encourage him into maybe, getting that fast goal and get him going basically, Now, the squad rotation, or was it just poor? To be fair, I am trying to be fair here. Arteta did rotate the squad heavily. Saka, of course, started off on the bench. Declan Rice had a bit of an illness. Timber, like I mentioned, picked up an injury. Calafiori as well picked up a bit of a niggle in the Aston Villa game as well. So Timber again and Declan Rice didn't even make it. They didn't travel. I do believe they stayed over in London. My apologies. And then Calafiori was literally the only one who was able to make it. So what that meant is Christian Norgard is the one who had to step in for Yuri and Timber. Miles Lewis Kelly, of course, stepped in for Ricardo Calafiori. Piero Nkapie continued to deputize for Big Gabi on that left centre back position. Again, he's doing a great, brilliant job. Not the best, brilliant job. I understand, still adjusting to the Premier League and all that. So don't get me wrong, I'm not judging him too harshly, but I need to see a little bit more from him, if I'm being honest. I do believe his preferred position would be left back rather than centre back, but centre back is a position that he can be able to play. let's bear in mind as well, Eze as well was on the bench, and Martinelli, of course, started. Trossard did a little cameo where he came in and scored the goal, the equalizer for Aston Villa, but again had to come off with another injury, another recurring injury. So we have to wait and see how long he's gonna be out again for. Um, and obviously Wolves. We got Wolves over the weekend on Saturday at 8 o'clock. So am I being too harsh? Maybe. You could argue I am being a little bit harsh on Mikel Arteta. Maybe this was always the way to get the job done. To get some kind of result rather than a statement to win. But here's my worry though. Are we rotating because smart and managerial and squad management is happening, or are we rotating because we literally have no choice due to injuries? And that brings obviously me to the elephant in the room, the injury crisis. Listen, if you don't laugh, you're gonna cry, right? That's what they normally say. If you don't laugh, you're gonna cry. So let's where do we start off? Obviously, after the second international break, Big Gabby got injured. Um, we were playing Tottenham. We were playing Nando's FC. Comfortable win there. Pierre and Capier, I felt was the correct choice to play in position for um Big Gabby, of course. Um, and then for the next match in Bayern Munich against Bayern Munich, I felt that Mosquera was the right choice. So I agreed with the choices that happened, that Mikel Arteta took, right? Rather, but then Saliba picked up an injury, and now the centre back partnership becomes Pierre Nkapie and Christian Mosquera, and then Mosquera goes and picks up an injury as well. And now we've got arguably our first three choice centre backs out. And then the centre back pairing is just constantly changing. I think 7 or 8 centre back pairings ever since Big Gabby got his injury. So we've had obviously Hincapie and Saliba, Hincapie and what's his name? Mosquera, Hincapie and Timber, Mosquera. The combination is endless. And this is the thing with Mikel Arteta. These players, he's assigned them because they're able to play. They're multi-versatile. They're able to play in different positions. And again, Leandro Trossard obviously picked up that calf injury during the last game against Aston Villa. So, and Kai Havertz as well, he's out injured as well. He's been out for about 11 months now, I do believe, but he is due to come back as well. So the injury crisis isn't just a 1 or 2 injuries, it's literally 6, 7. 6, 7. I don't even know what that means. My niece keeps on telling me 6, 7, 6, 7, and it's a problem with growing old. But we have about 6, 7 potentially first team players out injured. And of course, in defense, it's really, really bad, as I've mentioned. Urian Timber, Saliba, Big Gabby, of course. But against Club Brugge, I feel like we got away with there. But the question now comes into play is this weekend coming on Saturday against Wolves. Listen, Wolves again. I'm expecting a similar results, but I need better performance from the team, right? Because it's not like Wolves are too much better than what Club Brugge are going to be offered have offered rather, because again, let's be honest, they sit at the bottom of the Premier League table with only 2 points. They played Manchester United, and again, Manchester United haven't been exactly on the best run of form. So the fact that they beat them a bit comfortably, don't get me wrong, is a bit shaky there for a bit, but for a little bit. But Man United did manage to get a comfortable 3-1 win against Wolves. So the question now comes into play is the depth, and this is what we screamed for last season. It was one of the things that really held us back last season, of course. So of course, massive issue with squad planning for Mikel Arteta as well, because we have no depth. Hoping Saliba will be back for the Wolves game. If not, then at least if Timber can be able to be back as well, because again, Benjamin White, he's been great, doing a great job, or a decent job of deputizing for Yuri and Timber. Again, not exactly 100% fit, but he is making his way to full fitness. And of course, Miles Lewis Kelly as well. He didn't exactly have the best performance, as you can see there on with his rating. He got a 7.9. I felt like I could have seen more from him, if I'm being honest, but he's still a young man. Listen, I'm not complaining. He's still a young man. There's still learning to do, and he's doing a great job. So keep it up, but need to see more oomph, more from you. And maybe it's the tactics of the match day that yesterday, and maybe that's the instructions that Mikel Arteta had given him. So I'm not being too critical on him. And of course, the congestion of fixtures in December, like I said, again, every 3 to 4 days, it's not easy on these guys. They're playing 90 minutes. And let's be honest, Mikel Arteta expects 110% from every single one of them, every single time they step onto that pitch. And for them to actually be able to be on that pitch as well, they really have to work their ass off as well back on the training ground. So you can imagine it's a really stressful. It's really something for Mikel Arteta to really think about, because obviously the players don't get enough time to recover. Again, I don't know, FIFA and just FIFA, the football, they need to have a look at this fixture list and just do something about it, because, and the Premier League as well, because December is just a terrible month, if I'm being honest. But I'm gonna be finishing on the bright side, because again, like I said, it's not all doom and gloom. But if you haven't done so already, guys, please do hit that like button. Like I said, it does help push the video to new viewers. Those people who haven't seen us already. We do have other socials other than YouTube. Please do follow us, and there's also a social ticker rather, for any other socials that we may not have included here, such as, I think all of them are here as well. But nevertheless, please do give us a follow, subscribe as well if you haven't done so already. It also lets us know that obviously with your subscription that we are doing something that you like, something that you enjoy. And of course, on our part, we also love watching these games with you, and we also love obviously hearing what you have to say and your opinion. So do leave a comment below in the video as well. Myself or my co-host SPT, who's not available for today, we read all your comments. We try to get to as many and reply to as many of you as possible as well. So please, now just to wrap off the video, it's not all doom and gloom, like I said. Noni Madueke, what a performance! 2 goals, absolutely wildy from him, and an approaches finish. Unfortunately, he couldn't be able to get his hat trick. Of course, he's been so important, especially like at the beginning of the season when Saka was injured. He deputized for Saka again, did a great job. It was almost as if Saka was not injured. Like, it's almost we still had Saka on the field. He's been doing such a great job. Kind of begs the question, those Arsenal fans that were doing that petition at the during the last transfer window not to sign Noni. I mean, why? Why? Like, are you not entertained now? Like, do you wish that you could take that moment back? Let me know. Please leave a comment below. Let me know. But yeah, obviously, when Saka needed a rest like this match, Noni came in, deputized, delivered when he needed to deliver. And this is what you need basically from your squad players, people who can be able to still make those changes even if they are coming from their bench. Let's be honest, guys. That first goal, absolutely, absolutely sensational. And of course, Martinelli, this guy in the Champions League, clearly this is where he excels at. This is his preferred competition. Clearly, I don't know if you guys saw the still images of, especially the last game against Bayern Munich, where he was able to tap the ball around Manuel Neuer. He had a really big smile on his face, because he knew the goal was there. And even yesterday, when he scored that goal, just an absolute woof. Oh, just take a bow, have your flowers, son. It was just absolutely magnificent. But just to wrap this up, because I feel like it was a bit of a negative Nelly from me, but I did try to wrap it up. I did try to sugarcoat it there a little bit. So it wasn't exactly all doom and gloom, if I'm being honest. Like I said, 3-0 win away from home in the Champions League, in Europe as well for that matter. 6 wins out of 6, perfect record so far this season. But I don't want to start celebrating too soon, of course. This is merely the first stage. And of course, with injuries, the struggles are real, guys. The struggles are real. Well, again, we're not the only team that obviously have injuries, but ours have gotten a little bit too much now. Even with that so-called squad depth, it has really gotten to a point where it is a little bit concerning. We do have another game on Saturday. Like I said, we have Wolves playing. We're playing Wolves rather. Again, I expect 3 points from that game. If I'm being honest, minimum my score prediction should be a minimum 3-0 from Arsenal. I'm hoping Yuri and Timber will be back then. If not, Christian Morgan may have to deputize once again. I do believe that Calafiori will be back in the starting 11, and Miles Skelly may have to hold the bench for a little bit. And let's hope Declan Rice as well gets a chance to recover from the illness. Ateta, of course, he has a lot to think about, like I said, on Saturday. So, guys, this has been my review of yesterday's game. LL Cool J, that is me right there. This has been Two Halves, One Ball. And the result yesterday, Club Brugge, Club Brugge, 0, Arsenal 3. Hit that like button if you haven't done so already. And if you're still here, please do hit that like button. Again, like I said, helps push the video to new viewers and potential new subscribers. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much for joining me today, and come on, you Gunners, but not emphatically, but come on, you Gunners. Slow and steady wins the race. 10 toes to the ground. On to the next game now. Thank you and goodbye.